Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this latest episode of For the Love of Comics, in which we're going to do another one of my quick recaps of a selection of new arrivals and recent reads. I'd done a couple of these spontaneously, and people seemed to like it, so I was thinking maybe I could make this a monthly feature. Maybe in the last week of every month, I could do a quick recap of some of the books that I have received or read in the preceding weeks. Let me know if you like that idea or if you prefer me to stick to my closer looks of certain titles and certain editions. Amongst these books are a couple that complete sets or series for me, so mine are collector goals achieved, yet others are new and first time reads. Of course, just because they're recent reads or new arrivals does not mean that they're new books. In fact, the vast majority of these seem to be from some years ago. The newest one is maybe a handful of months old. First up, I've got 3 volumes of Scott Pilgrim by Bryan Malley. These are the hardcover color editions. You've seen the original manga-sized black and white digest-sized editions on shelf 8, as well as volumes 1, 2, and 3 of these hardcover collections over here, right there, on shelf 4. I've had those 3 for over a year now. I've been waiting for a price drop for the subsequent volumes, and in the last month I was glad to see the price fall, so I jumped at it, grabbing volumes 4, 5, and 6, completing the set. I think now is a good time to embark on a reread of this series in color from the beginning. Joining volumes 4, 5, and 6 of Scott Pilgrim is volume 4 of Department H by Matt Kindt. I'm a big fan of Matt Kindt, and I've really been enjoying this Dark Horse series. His previous series with Dark Horse Mind Management is one of my favorite modern comics, and Department H is also very good. It doesn't reach the heights of Mind Management, but very few things do. I'm really enjoying this deep sea murder mystery, murder 6 miles deep, as the blurb says, and I think this is the last volume, so I'm really looking forward to how it concludes. Although I could be wrong about that, and there may be another volume in the works. I don't collect the single issues, and I'm not aware of their schedule. I just grab these collected editions when they come out, and they're handsome hardcovers, as you expect from Dark Horse, and so I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth into this one. Next up is the 3rd book by Charles Burns in the X'd Out trilogy, Sugar Skull. I've had the first 2 books, X'd Out and The Hive, for a long time now. I've read them. They've impressed me, but I wasn't sure if I'd enjoyed them. And when Sugar Skull came out, I didn't immediately jump at it. I'm not really sure why. I do think this is a very impressive book. I think it's a very impressive trilogy, but it sort of just creeps me out and makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm not sure if I've gotten the whole thing. So that's why every time I had this in my shopping cart, I saved it for later. I finally grabbed it, used but in perfect condition. I read it. It was expectedly weird. I'm glad I've read it. I don't know if I'm going to return to this series very soon, but I'm pretty sure I will return to it one day. Now, my next book isn't really something that completes a series, but it's a spin-off. This is Flex Mentallo by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, spinning off from Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol. I used to have this book in trade paperback format a long time ago. It used to sit with my Doom Patrol TPBs over on shelf 1, and I don't know whether I lost it in a move or, again, someone borrowed it and never returned it. I was glad to see that there was a hardcover deluxe edition of it out. I wish there were hardcover deluxe editions of the Doom Patrol volumes as well, and I had my eye on it for a while. I finally picked up this used copy. It is an ex-library copy, but it doesn't have all the different stickers and stamps library copies usually do. It does come with a nice mylar cover. That's good for protection. On the back, it does tell me that it's from Maspeth, New York, so greetings to you, Maspeth, New York. Now we get to the 3 standalone books that I've got. First up is The Snake and the Lotus by Appupen. Appupen is the pen name of George Mathen, an Indian comics creator who's been around for a long time and has a number of books. I hadn't read any of his books until I picked up his latest book, Rashtraman, from the Indie Comics Fest late last year. I really enjoyed Rashtraman. It was strange but also powerful, and that made me curious to read other books by Appupen, so I immediately picked this up, The Snake and the Lotus, from some years ago, and if anything, I like this even better than Rashtraman. This is done as a series of black and white panels, and each panel is 1 page long. There are no word balloons, there are no thought bubbles, there are simply stark captions, and it's got this nightmarish, hallucinatory feeling that was quite difficult to shake. It does end up as a haunting story that is slightly abstract, but it has so much that even though I read it in less than an hour when I first got it, I'm pretty sure the next time around I'm going to be taking quite a bit longer. Next up is another hardcover from Dark Horse, 47 Ronin, written by Mike Richardson and with art by the one and only Stan Sakai. I picked this up obviously for the art of Stan Sakai. Him tackling one of the great samurai stories of all time was extremely enticing to me, and I really enjoyed this. It was a little strange not to see anthropomorphic animals after Usagi Yojimbo, but the story is very well told, it's beautifully illustrated, and it's in color, which is interesting because most of the Stan Sakai art I see is in black and white, and this is colored by Laverne Kinzerski. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, not by Tom Luth, who usually colors all of Usagi Yojimbo. And these are interesting colors. They're a little more muted, a little more pastel-like than Tom Luth's more bright colors, and I think they work for the story and for this art style quite well. And the last book I have over here is Come Again by Nate Powell. This is written and drawn by Nate Powell, his first solo work in many years. He was obviously collaborating on the National Book Award winning March trilogy with Senator John Lewis, as well as The Silence of Our Friends, which we saw on Shelf 3. But I have been a big fan of Nate Powell's ever since I read the 1-2 punch of Any Empire and Swallow Me Whole. So when I heard he had a new book, I just jumped at it with no further details. I'm going into this completely blind. The blurb tells me that it's set in the 70s in the Ozarks region and contains a mystery and family secrets, and that's about it. I'm very excited about reading this book, and I think this is going to be the next book I read. So there you have it, a short and sweet look at some of my most recent reads and new arrivals. I'd love to know what you've been reading or what you plan to read in the upcoming weeks. Leave them all in the comments below. Thank you as always for watching. This has been For the Love of Comics, and I'll see you at the next video.